Making issues out of black and white. Let's concentrate on right and wrong.
And now, our voices today.
Why are we led by our pride?
Hello, welcome to the program. This is Our Voices Today on WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Car Community Radio, streaming live from WOVU.org and the wonderful WOVU mobile app. I hope everyone is feeling good and feeling well. Did you enjoy hearing Jay and Rachel go at it? It's always a pleasure to hear. That's good radio. You know what I'm saying? Hope you had a chance to eat some I'm skipping ahead. I hope you had a chance to drink some clean, fresh, and alive water on this day and forevermore. I hope you had a chance to eat some tasty and nutritious food. And I hope you got good rest the night before so that we are thinking positive and the most productive thoughts as we move through these moments called tax season. Time to get those papers filed or pay somebody to do it for you. And actually, if you meet an income qualification, which we'll learn about more as we move through this hour, you could probably get your taxes done for free. Just depends. Are you income qualified or not? But first, I asked our guests, did they know about this breaking? It's breaking for me because I'm always late to everything. But on Netflix, there is a show called Love is Blind, where couples or individuals actually get to know those who are potential partners without seeing them, without ever seeing them. They hear their voice, they ask questions, they laugh, and decide whether or not. And it's men and women, so heteronormative relationships. And the man, I guess the man, sometimes the woman, I don't know if the woman ever proposed. I digress. The man usually decides whether or not the woman is somebody that he would like to marry. And so in order to see each other, they have to propose. And so once they propose, they're engaged to be married. It's not legal, I'm sure. But then they get to see each other. And then there's a whole episode where you can see them at the altar and see whether or not the engagement sticks. So there's a favorite couple on Love is Blind. I don't know if it's season 2 or 3, who knows. And SK and... how am I forgetting this girl's name? I put it in my phone. Let me see if I can find it. SK and the Pilates instructor, they were a favorite couple, along with Brennan, and the one girl. She's of Jewish heritage, which they talk about a lot on the show. So don't be offended if I say that. Favorite couple. He said no at the altar. The man SK said no at the altar. But then they continued to develop their relationship and friendship after the show. And then they come back for, I think it's called After the Altar. The next few episodes, after, Love is Blind after it's over. And he proposes again with a very beautiful and sparkly ring. Very sweet and romantic setup. She says yes, and then the next thing we see 3 months later, like on SpongeBob, 3 months later, she's crying on camera saying he cheated on her. It's hard. Love is hard, in any situation, whether it's blind or sighted or whatever. So, there are no such thing as fairy tales. Because even when you have a fairy tale relationship, there's always going to be problems. Always. But it's how you get through them. But she said, dang, I don't know why this name is escaping me. But she said, the Pilates instructor, that, trust. She lost trust in finding that allegation, finding out that SK was cheating on her. And she said that, Raven, that's her name. Raven is the Pilates instructor. She said that there were red flags, as we like to say, all through their relationship, and there were questions that she should have asked that she just didn't ask. And her friends knew something was going on. But you know how we want things to be what we want them to be. And so that relationship is no more. She seems pretty happy, and she found out, along with the rest of the world, on the tick and the talk. So the woman who he was dating apparently found out about Raven and posted, receipts, honey. Receipts. That's why they say document everything. But in 2023, everything is documented. We have the text messages, the FaceTime chats, we have Zoom, we have Facebook itself. People put their whole lives on Facebook, Instagram. People say a lot of things on Twitter. The whole society is documented if you decide to participate in those ways. But they found out on TikTok, and, my mind was blown. Just like, come on. Can we have a good story? I guess it only happens in the Disney. So anyway, back to important things. Receipts. Document everything. And we're going to be talking about a specific type of financial documentation during this episode of Life and the Law. Conversations about your rights from our friends at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. We're talking taxes, resources available for low-income taxpayers. I like to say income qualified. And we'll talk about how legal aid helps with tax issues, what can be done about issues related to identity theft and invalid returns, tax credits like the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit, and more. So let me introduce our friends that we have here today, both very familiar faces and one sure to come in as we move through the hour. I would like everyone to welcome. Did I say who I am? I didn't even say who I am. I'm T.C. Lewis, here to guide you through this conversation. From Legal Aid Society, supervising attorney for the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic, Dennis Dobos, is back with us. Hello, Dennis. How are you?
Hi, TC. Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with us, Antoinette Teasley, Cuyahoga Earned Income Tax Coalition volunteer and community outreach coordinator. Welcome back into the space of WOVU.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have you been on the air before?
I have not,
Okay.
but I've been in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah. So what a treat. What a treat. And hopefully our other friend, Marlene Fitz, from the Taxpayer Advocate Service, comes through. But if not, we'll have a good time. And we'll, shout out Marlene. Big shout out to Laura Klingler, who orchestrates and curates these wonderful conversations, gathers the guests and sends the notes and keeps us right and tight. So shout out to Laura. I know she's listening. Hi, Laura. And so let's, go ahead and get started. But I'll get started with something that Mr. Williams, he can't help himself. He busted in here as soon as he saw Dennis and said, "Hey, Dennis, is it true that we don't have to pay taxes this year?" Dennis, where did he get that notion from? Because this is America.
Yeah, he didn't get that notion from me. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Yeah, but why would people think that there would be no need to pay taxes ever? I mean, I guess this season. That's what I'm.
Well, that's a good question.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure where that's coming from, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will just Google it then. I tried to Google it as you two were kind of discussing it. But either way, I don't know. Okay, I don't know what he's saying back there. But let's see. So let's get to it, okay? It's tax season. Tax filing season began January 24th. The start date for individual tax return filers to get started, right? And most of us are looking for that nice refund. And so Dennis and Antoinette are here to talk about resources for those of us who qualify in the income ranges that may allow us to get help with filing our taxes. So I will look to each of you, Dennis and Antoinette, to tell us what each of your organizations do to help people with taxes. Dennis, we'll start with you.
Oh, sure. So our low-income taxpayer clinic helps individuals with federal tax controversies. And what that means is that the IRS is pursuing the individual for an underpayment of taxes, or the individual may be seeking a refund actually from the IRS that the IRS does not want to provide to the individual. So we step in under that circumstance. We can't help everybody, but we can help people up to 250% of the federal poverty level. We try to keep it around 200% or lower, to help people who really need our help, which is about $29,500 for an individual, $60,000 for a family of four. We're one of 6 low-income taxpayer clinics in Ohio, and one of about 137 across the country. Every state has a clinic, barring a few. I think maybe Wyoming, Montana, Hawaii are without clinics. Although it ebbs and flows. Sometimes they have a clinic, sometimes they don't. There's some variability there. Our focus is on individuals and not businesses, and we're not in the business of preparing taxes. We feel that our resources are better spent helping individuals with these IRS disputes.
Okay, there we go. That's the help that we're talking about. If you have something that you need help with in the realm of disputing how much you owe, like you get a letter from the IRS and maybe they're auditing you or saying whatever, you owe money. So we'll get back to that. Thank you so much, Dennis, supervising attorney for the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic within Legal Aid. So you're saying most of the places where Legal Aid is present, there is a Low Income Taxpayer Clinic, but a few places not.
Yeah, so Ohio's pretty covered. The Cleveland area, Akron, Cincinnati, Columbus, and then the Toledo area. And then across the country, most every state has at least one clinic. But there are pockets where there isn't coverage, but overall it's pretty good coverage.
Okay. And how many people would you say annually utilize the clinic here?
Oh, here, yeah. Well, we have a couple hundred cases at least, but we give advice, and it extends well beyond that. So I think we reach probably thousands for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Antoinette, you are on deck. Tell us how the Cuyahoga EITC Coalition helps those of us with tax situations.
Yeah, well, first let me start off by saying that the EITC Coalition is led by Enterprise Community Partnerships, and we work collaboratively collaboratively with community-based organizations throughout Cuyahoga County, like BBC, to provide VITA free tax preparation services. So the coalition is named after the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is one of the largest anti-poverty government programs administered. We are able to provide this service free of charge because we are a partner in the nationwide IRS Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. We say VITA. Every year, our VITA program certifies tax preparers to be a leader in providing this service to families and individuals who generally earn $60,000 or less a year. We have 15 tax sites located throughout Cuyahoga County, many of them in neighborhood community centers. So this year, we have quite a few mobile or pop-up tax sites. But most people know us for our super refund events where we collaborate with bank partners to make that possible.
Oh, super refund. Tell us more.
Yes, so the super refund events, they're really high energy. It's where our bank partners, they volunteer their time to come and help us prepare taxes for people in the community. We usually can see maybe anywhere from 100 to 200 appointments at those events.
Okay.
Yep.
And so are bankers naturally trained to, handle tax returns?
So at the coalition, we train them through the VITA program. So the IRS gives us tools and resources to train them. They pass certifications, and then they come out and help us with the tax preparation.
Yeah, and more than bankers can become VITA volunteers, right?
Absolutely. Anybody who is interested in learning about being a volunteer tax preparer, definitely go to our website, refundohio.org, and we will be happy to train you and get you more knowledgeable about how to be a tax preparer in the VITA program.
Yeah, and we know people are well trained because Antoinette, leads the charge concerning the volunteers and community outreach, as she is here with us talking about how, to her organization, the organization she represents, Cuyahoga EITC Coalition. Dennis Dobos is here with us representing Legal Aid's Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. If you have any questions for our guests, feel free to send me a text on the WOVU talkback line 216-200-7848 216-200-7848. Send that during the break, actually right now. When we come back from this very short break, we'll talk about, tax cases. Maybe you can relate. Maybe something that will spark your ear, and you'll seek help from the Legal Aid Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. And let's see. So the types of cases Legal Aid takes, we'll talk about. And, what is the earned income tax credit? What is the child tax credit? So we'll be back with more of our discussion on this edition of Life and the Law, conversations about your rights. It's tax season, y'all. And so we'll be right back. This is WOVU 95.9 FM, the Our Voices Today program. Stay tuned.
How will we ever know if we were never taught or told to never stop fighting? Don't ever quit just 'cause the rich get richer and the poor don't get. Excuse me, but I get so mad. Where could we have been?
Stop paying hundreds of dollars for taxes. Cuyahoga County residents that earn up to $60,000 annually qualify for tax preparation services at no cost. Avoid the fees and keep your full refund by filing your tax return with the Cuyahoga EITC Coalition. Services provided by IRS certified volunteers. Make an appointment today at refundohio.org or dial 211. This message is brought to you by the Cuyahoga Earned Income Tax Credit Coalition and WOVU 95.9 FM, Albertan Belcar Community Radio.
Hi, this is Mayor Justin Bibb. One way I stay connected with Cleveland's communities is by answering questions from Clevelanders like you. And I always get excellent, engaged questions from WOVU 95.9 FM listeners. Cleveland has one of the largest collections of neighborhood and community media in the country. These outlets create community bonds, amplify community advocate voices, and host conversations of consequence. That's why this radio station and I have invited Cleveland's community media outlets to WOVU for a live broadcast roundtable discussion at 4 p.m. on Thursday, February 16th. The next best thing in answering your questions directly is answering questions from those who produce Cleveland's neighborhood and community media. I hope you'll tune in to the WOVU 95.9 FM live broadcast of my community media roundtable at 4 p.m. on February 16th. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
This message is brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Do you have basic questions related to employment, unemployment, or student loans? Call Legal Aid's Economic Justice Information Line at 216-861-5899. Leave a short message with your question, and a Legal Aid representative will return your call. That's 216-861-5899.
This message is brought to you by the Legal Aid Society and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
It's time to make the short story longer. Yeah.
Welcome back to the program. Yes, we are making the short story of taxes. Taxes, taxes, taxes. What are the things that are constant in life? Death and taxes. Yes, and we're talking about one of them. It's tax season, and there are several organizations that can help you. Two of them represented here. One in the realm of actually helping you file your taxes. Antoinette Teasley from the Cuyahoga EITC Coalition is here. She's in charge of the volunteers and reaching out to the community, as she's doing here. And Dennis Dobos is here, supervising attorney for the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic with legal aid. If you have something that you feel isn't right about a letter you got from the IRS, and maybe some other things, we'll find out. Dennis Dobos and his team can possibly help you. You know, these lawyers, they say, I can't say for sure. Well, it's based on case by case basis whether or not we can help you. So I want to come back to you, Antoinette, and can you explain some of the terminology here? What is the earned income tax credit?
Yeah, so the Earned Income Tax Credit, it is basically a credit that it's a refundable credit that comes back to you as a taxpayer if you meet certain rules or requirements to receive the credit. So some of the basic qualifying rules would be that you have to have worked and earned income under a certain amount, and you have to have a valid Social Security number, must be a U.S. citizen, and then some other certain rules apply as well in special cases.
Okay, so it's a tax credit, which means we get money back. Correct.
So it is a refundable tax credit. Mm-hmm. So that means that the money after your tax is taken. So let me start over.
Yeah.
When you prepare your tax return, the money that you don't owe for taxes, so if you don't owe any taxes, the EITC credit will kick in and it will boost your refund. Okay. So it's a refundable credit. There's refundable credits and non-refundable credits. Okay. The non-refundable credits just reduce the amount of tax you owe.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the refundable credit, which is the earned income tax credit, will come back to you in a refund.
Is the child tax credit similar?
So the child tax credit is a non-refundable credit until the additional child tax credit kicks in. The child tax credit now, give me 1 second.
Beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop, boop.
So the child tax credit, again, you can get up to $2,000 credit per qualifying child age 16 and under. The actual amount of the credit you receive will be calculated within your return. So when the amount of the tax that you owe is less than the available credit, then the additional child tax credit kicks in and becomes a refundable credit up to $1,400.
Awesome. I mean, yes, very awesome. A lot of us are very familiar with these, those of us with children. And, of course, when you work, you have to pay taxes. Are there people who don't earn income that pay taxes? Maybe, Dennis, you might know this.
People who don't earn income, generally not. There's a threshold for paying,
Okay.
minimum. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So thank you so much, Antoinette, for our vocabulary lesson. Y'all know I love a good word. Earned income tax credit and child tax credits. Dennis, let's shift to you. And we've been saying that legal aid helps those in the realm of taxes who who take issue with what the IRS has told them. Can you explain that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying that we're really busy year-round, not just during tax season.
Right.
So we handle all sorts of issues. We'll do audits, do process hearings, appeals. We'll file actions in tax court, in federal court. We'll do innocent spouse claims, prepare fraud. We'll help people with unfiled returns for many years. If somebody has a lot of tax debt, we'll work on eliminating the tax debt through collection alternatives like currently not collectible status, offers in compromise, sometimes payment plans. Really, we run the gamut with everything. I mean, anything that says IRS on it outside of tax preparation, we're going to look at.
Oh, cool. What about, Jay also brought up something else. I might be taking his. Anyway, RETA, the Regional Income Tax Authority. Why do I have to pay RETA?
Well, your municipality, you have services that each city provides, and those municipal taxes, cover the services. There's been a little bit of change though, because with a lot of people working at home now, it's some of those taxes have shifted from the city to suburbs or wherever they're working.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, so that's changed. And sometimes, if your employer has paid taxes, if you're employed in the city of Cleveland, for example, and your employer is paying those city taxes on your behalf, you may be entitled to a refund, but you're still going to have to pay where you're actually doing the work, wherever you're located with the homework.
Okay. You got me with some more vocabulary. Innocent spouse. What is that?
Yeah. So oftentimes a spouse, for example, may be involved in an IRS dispute and is not at fault. The other spouse may be completely at fault. Maybe the one spouse has kept the other spouse in the dark. The one spouse may not have a clue of what's been filed, and it's a mechanism that will allow the one spouse to only pay the taxes that he or she owes. And so, we have those disputes, fairly regularly.
Yeah. How easy or difficult is that to prove that an individual is innocent?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's involved. You have, there's a appeals process, and you have to provide supporting documentation. Just lots of records, as you mentioned at the onset. It's all about records and documentation.
Yes. Okay. What does it mean to be audited?
Yeah, so with auditing, the IRS is going to they're looking for it's looking for documentation. Okay, the IRS wants to substantiate what you're indicating on your return, and many people, sometimes are random audits. People are completely not at fault, innocent, and the IRS will just do a random audit. And what we do is we help the individual find the documentation that the IRS wants, and then generally, the matter goes away.
Okay.
But there are people who are unscrupulous and who submit returns, to gain, money. And so, that's the IRS's rationale for these random auditing, and just keep everybody honest.
Yeah, because we do hear, about tax scams, and then just throughout the social zeitgeist, people claiming, other people's children, or claiming adults that don't, they don't have the right to do. How do you help with identity theft? Because that's really what that is.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So it can be identity theft, or if it's somebody we submit this form. It's called an information referral form. So if you know the individual who is taking those credits from you, you can submit to the IRS an information referral pointing out the wrongdoing, and the IRS will pursue the individual, and it should put an end to that practice. And if you haven't gotten the credits, in that circumstance, generally we'll have the individual file an amended return. We'll include a letter. We'll include the information referral, and that usually gets things turned around. Now, same with ID theft. I mean, it's a little different, but same process in that you want to submit the ID theft form. You'll file amended return. But you'll mail those in. All right. Not you won't do that electronically. Then you'll include a letter with those, and then either the information referral or the ID theft form that you previously sent to the IRS. You'll reference that in the letter, and that's usually get things turned around that way, and you get those credits. Now, Plan B, and we haven't had a resort to this yet, but the individual can also initiate a claim in small claims court and go after them that way, for fraud or conversion or some sort of civil tort.
Okay. All right. What's a civil tort?
Well,
is it a cake?
Well, it's not. It's just a tort is when one harms another in a non-criminal context, we'll say. It's not. It's civil law versus criminal. Gotcha.
How is it that someone who doesn't make a lot of money, like is, say, 200% below the poverty line, is that the phrasing?
Yes.
I make less than $60,000 a year. I have a family of 4, or a family of 2, less than 29,000?
One at 29. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, how could I possibly have federal tax debt? How does that happen?
Well, sometimes not enough money is withheld. That could be one factor, improper withholding. Sometimes there could be, and we see this fairly routinely, inflated earnings, and then, an audit will come about, and then all of a sudden, those earnings haven't been substantiated, or the other documentation hasn't, you can't verify the other items on the return, and the individual ends up owing. And so, but the nice thing is, even if you owe, there's an end run if you can't pay, and those are the collection alternatives. And we do place people in currently not collectible status, and do offer and compromises all the time. And offer and compromises are really our bread and butter.
Okay.
And with the currently not collectible status is where the individual's expenses meet or exceed their monthly earnings. And so the IRS will usually grant it. They're really kind of in a hold pattern. Interest penalties continue to accumulate, but the IRS is going to leave them alone. They're not going to levy their income, Social Security benefits, that sort of thing. Now, with offers and compromise, same idea. Monthly expenses meet or exceed monthly earnings. Plus, the individual doesn't have much in the way of appreciable assets. And in that case,
what's appreciable assets?
Like if you own a home, money in your bank account. But that's not. Even though those items are there, if there are assets, as lawyers, we try to figure out ways to get around the hurdles. So for example, if somebody has $25,000 in a bank account and it's from a Social Security disability award,
right?
And they're using that money to pay their rent each month, we'll provide that information, and generally we can proceed with the offer.
Okay.
So they're really, really
news.
excellent tools. Excellent.
Yeah. So we need to open those letters we get from the IRS. Don't just let them pile up or throw them in the trash. You got to read them, because don't be afraid, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Because legal aid could possibly help you work through the issue, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love working on these cases, honestly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis Dobos. You're not going anywhere, but, we thank you for all of that information. Let's see. Antoinette, let's actually take a break, and then we'll get into your side of things, which is going to help people avoid perhaps needing to talk with Dennis and the clinic at Legal Aid that helps people with taxes. So let's go ahead and take that break. This is Our Voices Today, in the midst of the latest edition, the February edition of A Conversation, Life in the Law, a conversation about your rights. We're talking taxes today. Dennis Dobos, supervising attorney for the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic at Legal Aid, is here with us, along with Antoinette Teasley, volunteer and community outreach coordinator for the Cuyahoga EITC Coalition. I'm TC. We'll be right back. If you have any questions, text us on the talkback line, 216-200-7848. And you can if you have any other legal need that you need help with, housing, employment, benefits, domestic safety, or another fundamental need, please visit Legal Aid's website at lasclev.org or call 888-817-3777. We'll be right back. 95.9 FM, WOVU, Our Voices United.
Stand up, my people.
10th annual. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. 10th annual.
It's time for the 10th annual Celebrity Soup for the Soul fundraiser. Grab your spoons, your bread, and your appetite, and meet us on Saturday, February 25th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn, 700 Beta Drive in Mayfield Village. This fabulous fundraiser will be hosted by
Now time to kick it with Kenny Grumpton
and
Danita Harris.
Soup for the Soul 2023 will fill you up with deliciously prepared soups served up piping hot.
So good and tasty.
By some of Cleveland's finest. Dishing out the delectables will be the folks from J Honda Auto Group, Skylar Ray's Culinary Service, along with Chef Eric Wells, Yvonne Porter of Hope Haven, Kevin Chill Heard, WOVU's General Manager Jay the Gospel Kid, Sam Silk, Mark Lyons, and Nathan Landry. The fun doesn't stop there. After filling your belly, get your groove on with a live concert featuring jazz artist Kofi B, straight out of Akron. A silent auction, door prizes, raffle, music, food, friends, and fun, all in support of the families and children of Strengthening Our Students, nonprofit organization whose mission is to enrich lives through education, life skills, and innovative programs. Meet us Saturday, February 25th at the Hilton Garden Inn, 700 Beta Drive from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, visit strengtheningourstudents.com or call 216-374-6452. Soup for the Soul is sponsored by Morgan Lennon's, RPM, Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, the AKA Team, Burton Bell Car Development, J Honda Auto Group, Hilton Garden Inn, Nexter Media Group, Redina Associates of Cleveland, Jack Entertainment, Code M Magazine, and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Car Community Radio.
And welcome back to this edition of Our Voices Today. Life and the Law conversations about your rights is what we are talking about with our friends from the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. It's tax time. So if you need help with taxes, first of all, I'll let you know Antoinette of the EITC Coalition, she's here to tell you that she can help you, and if you didn't know, let's see. The EITC Coalition is a group of community partners that offer free tax preparation services to families and individuals who earn $60,000 or less. And EITC Coalition has 12 tax sites located throughout Cuyahoga County, and you can schedule an appointment by visiting refundohio.org or call 211 on your nearest telephonic device to locate the tax site nearest you. Along with Antoinette Teasley of the Cuyahoga EITC Coalition, Dennis Dobos is here as well from Legal Aid's Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. We're going to finish out this conversation, though, focusing on what Antoinette does. And so I did mention Antoinette in the last segment, talking with Dennis about things that can go wrong with taxes. Maybe somebody claimed you, somebody claimed your kids, or somebody, committed some type of fraud in your name. How can EITC help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to state also, too, so we have grown a little bit this year. We now have 15 tax sites that are in Cuyahoga County and a host 15. And a host of other mobile sites. But so just to let everybody know, the EITC Coalition, we prepare the tax forms for taxpayers. And then if they bring up issues to us and make us aware that maybe they might have some debt that they owe to the IRS, if they notice that they owe and they're not quite sure about how to make payments, we can also help them by making a referral to the Legal Aid Society. So we've had a long-standing partnership with Legal Aid Society, and we would certainly make that connection for them so that they can be able to take care of those matters.
So what other tax issues should people be aware of? We talked about a few, but let us know some additional things. Yeah, absolutely.
So tax credits have changed this year. So they, like child tax credit, earned income tax credit, and credit for child and dependent care have reverted back to what they were prior to the pandemic. So in many cases, a taxpayer's 2022 tax return may look a lot different from their previous filing. The child tax credit is back to $2,000 per qualifying child, and is only refundable up to that $1,400 as the additional child tax credit. The earned income tax credit goes back to the qualifying age of 25 to 64 years old. And then lastly, the credit for child and dependent care goes back to being a non-refundable credit. If anybody ever has any questions about your taxes, you can always email the EITC Coalition at support@refundohio.org. Our tax preparers are also there to sit with you at the sites and answer any questions you might have. And even if you have questions, please still feel free to schedule an appointment with the EITC Coalition. Our appointment scheduler is open now, and you can do so by calling 211 to locate a VITA tax site nearest you, or you can visit us at refundohio.org.
So Jay's here, everyone, and I am totally blessed to hear the information you all are sharing. For years, we would break our neck to these tax places that would actually make money off of us, and it's just mind-blowing that this is done free. This is like totally mind-blowing, because I'm not even going to begin to name all the places that we could go and have our taxes done, and they call it a rapid refund, which is the same thing that you all do very, very well. someone to help negotiate for us when we have to pay tax, how we can do some monthly payments or have it reduced. And we pay them to do this for us. And a lot of the people in the audience don't understand that you don't have to pay and that you can actually get your taxes done on the same level that you were getting them done when you were standing in line waiting and you got to the front of the line and then you didn't have that important piece of paper, right? And you had to go home and find it, and then someone in the office will help you understand how to go around that, but there's a fee. So there's a fee attached to everything. How in the world did this come about, allowing us to get this done free, and it goes up to what financial bracket? Is there a
So with the coalition, we will see taxpayers who generally make $60,000 or less.
60,000 or less. So, and that's the majority of a lot of black and brown people. So it's not like it's, I know some of y'all busy, y'all doing 100,000 and so forth. That's cool. But why is it so quiet? So quiet about it. Why? You said 15 sites, right?
Correct.
And this gentleman has just made it perfectly clear how legal aid can help take us through some of those. I'm scared to open my tax. I'm scared to look at Rita. I'm scared. You hear that all the time. So people let it stack up, or they take it and they throw it away, and Internal Revenue is not going to do us like they do Donald Trump. So I'm coming to you first, Antoinette.
Yeah.
Then I'll come to you, sir, and you can explain why we think that this tax thing is going away.
Yeah, so I just think that taxpayers should know that, first of all, filing your taxes, if you have earned income in the year, filing your taxes is one of your duties as a citizen, but it's very important. Okay. And as you mentioned, it can be very scary, but the first step is to file the tax returns. And the good thing about the coalition is that we can, if it doesn't matter how many years taxes you need done, we can prepare them. Well, as much as our software will allow, because we do use software, very tried and true, tested software that's very reliable, and we work with taxpayers to take that first step of filing their tax return and then seeing what the result will be. So if you are expected a refund, that's great. If you owe taxes, we can work with you to show you how to go about making payments to the IRS. Okay. But let's say, you receive a letter from the IRS stating that, this is, there's other additional things you might need to take care of, or some debt that you might have with the IRS. That's why our partnership with Legal Aid Society is so critical, because they will help our taxpayers if they can. They will look into the situation and see if they can help them. But this, as far as I know, taxes is a thing here in this country, and it's something that it's our responsibility to do.
So I have to ask you another question before I go to this gentleman. So we don't believe that you all are qualified to do our taxes like those other places that we see advertised on television, in the newspaper, on the billboard. So, you say you can help us, but we kind of sort of saw the sign as I was driving in today saying, I can do your taxes for you, and I am a certified public accountant that can make your life very, very easy. Explain. Talk to me.
So with the EITC Coalition, our program is ran by, is supported, and the tax preparers are certified trained IRS volunteers. So remember, this is an IRS VITA program. So they provide us with the materials to train. We train our tax preparers, and then we have, again, a reliable software. Now, that's how we're able to provide this service for free, because the people who work in the program volunteer and donate their time to the community, because this is such a very important and needed service. As you mentioned, there are lots of tax preparers who you can go to pay hundreds of dollars to have your return done. They will likely have their own software, and they can generate a tax return for you. But you can come to us and get all of your refund money. You don't have to pay
Split it up.
anything. Exactly.
Right.
And it puts more money back into your pockets, and it's the money that is yours. It's the money you've earned, and you're getting it back, and you deserve to have all of it.
And so to you, sir, now they'll say with us that, well, you have some hiccups with your taxes, and so you're getting this much back in your tax refund. However, we can help you, and we can start this payment plan, and we can negotiate for you, and with a small fee. Legal aid does it absolutely free. But when we hear legal aid, we think these are unqualified lawyers that really don't know how to help us. So I want you to erase that myth, so those of us that are listening that are really jacked up, right? We owe for like 4 years, maybe longer. And we have them stacked, threw them away, but there is this company telling us, oh, no, the commercial says this: I owe the IRS $20,000, and Jay came along and he erased it, and I only paid $1, right? But there was a lot of money paid to Jay, who had it erased to make it happen. Talk about why legal aid is so important, and how professional the legal aid attorneys are.
Yeah, I think the first thing is we aim for the desired result, and we usually get that result. And I'll give you an example. So in the offer and compromise context, our organization is running at about, our clinic at about a 98% success rate.
Whoa.
Where the national average, it was in the 40% range. Now it's dropped. I think it's even gotten lower. Okay. And, as far as the cases, I mean, we're as aggressive as anybody, and we get the results. Vast majority of the cases we handle, we get the result for the client. And much of it is, you are really, you go over the facts, you figure out a plan, and then you execute the plan, and then you appeal, and you keep fighting all the way down the line. So whenever we have the opportunity, we'll file a case within the context of the right to a due process hearing. And this gives us with an added level of appeal to tax court. And so many times you don't get things turned around till you get to that level, till you get to people who are very astute and have the authority to turn things around.
Okay.
So that's kind of our method. We're aggressive from the get-go, and we get the results. And we have, verifiable results. So, and there are a lot of great tax attorneys out there, no question about it.
Right.
But
right.
But
you all are doing the job for those that are 60,000 and under. And honestly, let's be real. For those of you in the audience, it's tax time, and there's some hiccups that I heard you all in TC talked about. Those child credits that both mom and dad is filing for, that somebody's going to get caught because both of them are.
Yeah.
Those, I am an entrepreneur, but I'm not an entrepreneur. So this right here is coming up. And sometime those tax companies Antoinette, can really mess a person up for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Because they took it upon themselves to follow that lead, and that lead, because you didn't continue to go to that same one every year, now your information is being exposed on some of those unauthorized tricks. So talk about when they show up at you all's doorstep, from dialing 211, having the appointment, meeting you all. What happens at that point when you see they've been jacked up for a while?
Yeah, so in those situations, there's first of all, there's no question that there are predatory practices out there. So
Wow.
and predatory practices that might feed on people who may not have the ability to afford, good services.
Right,
And
right.
and the thing about the coalition is that when we see our taxpayers and they come to us with these, tax returns that, and likely many of them will already be aware that, hey, before we, start this filing, I will let you know that I have this X, Y, and Z going on. They might already be aware of their tax
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
So they're very good at letting us know, like, this is what I've done before. I'm here at my appointment because I'm ready to do it right, and
Okay.
I'm ready to get my tax situation back on track. And so again, as stated, you make your appointment. You would come into your appointment at one of our tax sites or at one of our tax events and sit with the tax preparer. And as we assess the situation, we're entering your information in our software. We do go over the tax return with the client or with the taxpayer at the end of that appointment so that they can see, what's happening with their
Okay.
income,
Okay.
how much tax they owe,
Okay.
and so forth. But when they bring up these issues to us about any tax situation they have, it's a perfect opportunity for us to make a connection with Legal Aid Society.
We're going to have them to give the final words, but for those of you in the audience of 95.9 WOVU, here we are. It's tax season. You really want to get it right. You don't want to find yourself working with someone that is just taking money from you and you unaware because they said they can give it back to you in 30 days or 15 days or like some of these card places, they'll tell you just bring your W-2s and before you know it, you can drive off with a car. Don't take the microwave. Don't take the microwave. I know we're accustomed to that because that's our lifestyle now. Put it in the microwave, zap, we ready, we good. So I need both of you, if you don't mind. I'll start with Antoinette and we'll come to you, sir. Give us something to put on the plate that we can chew on for the rest of the week and make reservations to call 211 to get what we need done to change our life so we can be more productive. So talk to us. I'll come to you and you'll close out, sir.
Absolutely. If you are an individual that works and earns income in this country, filing your tax return is super important, and getting your refund, all of your refund money, is so important. And we at the Coalition can provide that tax preparation service free of charge. Please, we are in tax season now, and if you, as Jace mentioned, if you want to get it right, you want it done right, and you want to keep all of your money, all of your refund money, definitely please call 211 to locate a tax site nearest you, or you can learn more about the Coalition and schedule an appointment at refundohio.org, and any one of our tax sites would be happy to have you there.
Yeah, the Vita sites are the best thing since sliced bread. If more people would have their taxes prepared of the Vita sites, I'd have less prepare fraud cases. So it's just a great resource that everyone needs to take advantage of, provided you qualify from an income standpoint.